now the old company communicator's manual, Persuade with Power, he will attempt to persuade you that we are at an inflection point, one which requires us to harness our communication skills to build bridges, not to burn them. Please, let's welcome DTM Jordan Camenker with his speech titled, Where the Monsters Are.
You know what day it was yesterday?
Thursday.
Yesterday was July 14, Bastille Day. About which more momentarily. The Rodentia, who's the Rodentia?
Your kids.
The Rodentia know that when I engage in that ultimate act of celestial bucket kicking, they will have a choice of 3 slogans to put on my headstone. The first is, see, I told you I was sick. The second one is, please move 3 steps to the left. And the third one is, adventure beckons around every corner. And that's probably the one to go with. And it was in that spirit that in the summer of 1979, I stuck my thumb out and hitchhiked from Gainesville, Florida to Duluth, Minnesota, where I worked on the waterfront for a while, gaining some money, so that I could travel to Europe, where I was going to meet someone of the female persuasion whom I had met 6 years before and promised I would come to Europe. One thing that she hadn't told me, and I found out when I arrived, is that she was living with her boyfriend. It's a long and delightful story. On the morning of the 3rd day, I left my campground, went to the train station, and figured, I'll find adventure. And I went through northern Spain and along the French Riviera. And so it was that on the evening of July 14, I found myself at the casino in Monte Carlo. And I had these American Express traveler's checks, and I'm in a long line of people who were changing money to get, I believe even there they were using French francs. This was before the euro. And in line, I know you guys are probably surprised that I would talk to strangers. I was very shy. And there were these 3 delightful young women, and I'm chatting with them, and I don't know why, but I got just this urge. You know, there is a story, I don't know if it is apocryphal, where Buckminster Fuller, the creator of the geodesic dome, invited the Ziegfeld Follies to dinner and spent his Harvard tuition on it. And I just got this urge, and I said to these ladies, you pick the restaurant, I'm taking you out to dinner tonight. You pick, whatever it is. And they picked a fancy, I believe it was a French restaurant actually, and so we went, and they ordered for me, and it was like a multi-course dinner, and I'm ready. The bill comes, and they would not let me pay. I said, no, I said I would. There's no, you're on traveling, and they figured I didn't have all that much money. And they invited me back to their hotel room for fireworks. Not that And all of a sudden, there are all these fireworks. And I'm saying to them, you guys are like 10 days late. Is this the way you do things in France? It was Bastille Day. And they were celebrating the anniversary of the storming of the Bastille. And I learned a little bit about it. Apparently, at some point, as unrest grew among the French populace, a mob stormed what was a fortress-like prison. There were only 7 prisoners in there, but this really is what some historians believe started the Reign of Terror, although it really kicked up in 93. But this is 89, and they're already killing people. I thought about that yesterday, again. The French Revolution and the Reign of Terror. They murdered thousands upon thousands of people. And the compass that included people who offended the Committee for Public Safety, originally led by a French lawyer, Robespierre, got ever larger, and the list of offenses for which you could be executed got larger and larger too. The mobs always eventually devour their own, and so they did. Robespierre was eventually executed, and the reign of terror continued for a while longer before it petered out. Oh, they discontinued the church, or they tried to. They hated the church. They changed the days of the week. Everything was different. You know, that happened in China. The mob was so intense, and they were so hypnotized by the message. There were children who turned in their parents to be executed. Recently, a woman confessed that she watched as her mom was executed. She had turned her in. In the Iranian Revolution, a mother actually put the noose around her son's head. Anti-revolutionary activities. And so it goes. And, you know, it's not too far of a stretch. Surveys indicate that we are more opposed to each other, and the passion and the distemper, the anger with which we greet each other's views is more pronounced now than at any time since the Civil War. And we're inclined now to disregard our laws. Let's get in their face. Let's make them uncomfortable. Let's make them pay, whoever they are. And I remembered a Rod Serling episode on The Twilight Zone. The monsters are due on Maple Street. And there's a few appliances that go off when everybody's power is off, and his light goes on, and then his car goes on, and then her radio goes on, and they decide that somebody is a plant from aliens, and a mob arrives. And somebody stops them and says, we're becoming a mob, and we're devouring ourselves. And they disregard. And at the end, you see the aliens on a hill. So it's really that easy? Yes. Change a few appliances. They go after the most dangerous thing they can find. It's themselves. We can either be the monsters, Toastmasters, or we can stop the monsters. With great power goes great responsibility. We have the power of communication. There's friendship here. We need to share that. It's not going to be easy. But then again, adventure beckons around every corner.